So, folks, Donald Trump credited, rightfully so, with negotiating the ceasefire / hostage exchange. But as we told you, Donald Trump very much invested in the project of Greater Israel, and I very regrettably, but accurately, it looks like, predicted after October 7th that Israel would not stop until they had either cleared Gaza out or killed everyone in their way. And Donald Trump's recent statement here certainly seems in keeping with that very, very bleak goal. U.S. President Donald Trump says he is pressuring Jordan and Egypt to take in Palestinians from Gaza. I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about 1.5 million people, and we just need to clean out that whole thing. That's right. Donald Trump.
That was always the plan. That was always the plan.
That was always the plan. So here's the audio from that exchange. It was not captured on video. It was recorded, and the audio is a little hard to hear. So thankfully, I just want to credit this person here, Howard Beckett, with dropping the subtitled version on Twitter. So we have some captions, make it a little easier to read and hear what's going on.
Gaza Strip right now, and it's a mess. It's a real mess.
So you'd like Jordan to house people from
I'd
Gaza?
like him to take people. I'd like Egypt to take people. I'm talking to General El-Sisi tomorrow, sometime I believe. And I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing. It's over the centuries that's had many, many conflicts that site. And I don't know, it's something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished, and people are dying there. So I'd rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing in a different location where they can maybe live in peace for a change.
Temporarily, or would they
It could be either. It could be temporarily, it could be long term.
It's exactly what I said they were going to do. That they would create such a humanitarian crisis that they would frame pushing them into the surrounding areas as a humanitarian gesture.
Yes. Yep. That was certainly foreseeable, and that seems to be what he's trying to make happen right now. Al Jazeera reports ethnic cleansing, yes, which is the proper term for cleaning it out. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about he has endorsed the ethnic cleansing of the Gaza Strip. Ethnic cleansing feared as Trump asked Jordan, Egypt to take Gaza residents. United States President Donald Trump says he would like to just clean out Gaza, urging Egypt and Jordan to take in more Palestinians from the coastal enclave. Speaking with reporters on board Air Force One on Saturday, Trump said he had a call earlier in the day with King Abdullah II of Jordan and would speak with Egypt President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi later on Sunday. Later on Sunday, then, Jordan's foreign minister Ayman Safadi said that Amman's position is that the two-state solution is the way to achieve peace. He stressed, that Jordan's rejection of displacement is fixed and unchangeable in an apparent veiled response to Trump. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad armed group condemned the U.S. president's suggestion, calling it an encouragement of war crimes. Describing Trump's idea as deplorable, the group, which has fought a war with Israel alongside Hamas until last week's ceasefire, said his proposal falls within the framework of encouraging war crimes and crimes against humanity by forcing our people to leave their land. It also said Trump's statement was in line with the worst of the agenda of the extreme Zionist right and a continuation of the policy of denying the existence of the Palestinian people, their will, and their rights, and called on Egypt and Jordan to reject his plan. That plan failed for multiple reasons, one of which is that Arab leaders who were approached at that point in time simply declined to take on an additional Palestinian refugee population, in part because it was politically unviable in Egypt in particular, which was mooted as a possible destination for a mass ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from Gaza, he said. Al-Arian said Palestinians themselves would not be interested in such a proposal by Trump. They know all too well what it means to leave their home and what the status of Palestinian refugees has looked like for the past 70 years, he said. Sami Abu Zuri, a leader in the Hamas movement, commented on Trump's statements. The people of Gaza have endured death to avoid leaving their homeland, and they will not leave it for any other reason. There is no need to waste time on projects previously attempted by Biden, which only prolong the conflict. Implementing the agreement is sufficient to address Gaza's issues, and attempts to circumvent the agreement hold no value. So both of the Palestinian groups have rejected it. The neighboring countries have rejected it. That's not really much of a surprise. But you know who's very happy is the far-right Israeli cabinet. Meanwhile, far-right Israeli finance minister Bezalel Smotrich welcomed Trump's idea to relocate Gaza's residents to Egypt and Jordan. The idea of helping them find other places to start a better life is a great idea. Only out-of-the-box thinking with new solutions will bring a solution of peace and security. So there you go.
Not really outside the box. You've been trying to ethnically cleanse these people from the region for as long as you've been there.
Right. What he means by outside the box is outside of the Gaza Strip. That's what he means.
That's what he means.
I will, with God's help, work with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet to ensure there is an operational plan to implement this as soon as possible, Smotrich said. For Palestinians, any attempt to move them from Gaza would evoke dark memories of what they call the Nakba, or a catastrophe. Of course, the mass displacement of Palestinians during Israel's creation in 1948. Egypt has previously warned against any forced displacement of Palestinians into the Sinai Desert, which El-Sisi said could jeopardize the peace treaty Egypt signed with Israel in 1979. Jordan is already home to around 2.3 million registered Palestinian refugees, according to the United Nations. So here's Itamar Ben-Gvir, who took time out of his retirement, I suppose, since he just resigned from the Israeli government. Congratulations to U.S. President Trump on the initiative to transfer residents from Gaza to Jordan and Egypt. One of our demands from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is to encourage voluntary immigration. And when the president of the world's largest power, Trump himself, raises the idea, it would be wise for the Israeli government to implement it. Encourage immigration now. We did a whole segment on this guy talking about voluntary displacement or whatever the hell. Come up with some Orwellian word for it. Essentially self-deportation, yes. Now, in keeping with this plan to ethnically purge Gaza of the about 1.5 million people who are there, Trump also said he has ended his predecessor's hold on sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel. We released them today, Trump said of the bombs. They've been waiting for them for a long time. Asked why he lifted the ban on those bombs, Trump responded, because they bought them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
they had a valid bill of sale.
Yeah, right. They had a bill of sale. That's right. Then President Joe Biden had put a hold on the delivery of those bombs due to concerns over the effect they could have on the civilian population. Israel's U.S.-made 2,000-pound bomb, you could see the mechanics of that. A 2,000-pound bomb can inflict damage within a radius of 300 meters. That's 1,000 feet. So just to give you an idea, the distance from street to street, if you're going up one of the avenues in New York City, it's about 260 feet. So you're talking about a radius of 4 blocks in every direction, because that's a radius, right? That is the scope of damage that one of these can do. So if you're targeting somebody in a building, if this were New York, you'd be in danger if you lived 4 blocks away. Right. That's what these 2,000-pound bombs can do. Now, look, none of this exonerates Joe Biden, as we've talked about and as we'll get to. He essentially sent them enough bombs to level the place entirely. Right. But when you're talking about just reducing it to absolutely nothing, these 2,000-pound bombs, we've seen what they've done. Benjamin Netanyahu, thank you, President Trump, for keeping your promise to give Israel the tools it needs to defend itself, to confront our common enemies, and to secure a future of peace and prosperity. So Netanyahu was grateful for these 2,000-pound bombs, and he made a brief video thanking the president.
Thank you, President Trump, for keeping your promise to give Israel the tools it needs to defend itself, to confront our common enemies, and to secure a future of peace and prosperity.
Yep. So there you have it. There you have it. You know, Trump gets this ceasefire done, so he gets the diplomatic win. He gets some hostages back. He brings the families of the hostages, you know, on stage for one of his, you know, 3 inaugural events, basically. And now you have a ceasefire in Gaza, which the people in Gaza are celebrating. But you're seeing the writing on the wall, what he thinks I don't use this term lightly, what the final solution for Gaza is. And that was very obvious, on October 7th. All you had to know was that when Benjamin Netanyahu said the enemy will know an unprecedented response, that could only mean the genocide and full ethnic cleansing of Gaza. And it seems like, Professor Zink has put out a tweet about this. Biden did the genocide part, and basically, now he passes the ball to Trump, who gets the final stage of this done, which is the ethnic purging. He's going to lean on these Arab states to take these people in. They have been leaned on before. They are stubborn that they won't. The Palestinian people are, of course, very proud and, stubborn in their resolve to say, no, we're not leaving. That's why this conflict exists in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. Because they didn't want to give up land that was stolen from them. But Donald Trump, just that last week, whatever the last show we did where we covered that 5-6 days ago, talked about how he's not confident that the ceasefire will hold. And what else did he say? Gaza's a phenomenal location. It's a phenomenal opportunity for the Israeli state to expand into. And when you look at a map, what is Gaza? Gaza is about 10% the size of the West Bank, I think. And so, Gaza is a pretty small but vital
tiny
piece of land to the Israelis. Obviously, they want all of it. From the river to the sea is their phrase, not the Arabs' phrase. That's the Zionist phrase. Mm-hmm. That's why the Israeli flag is what it is. The 2 blue lines on the Israeli flag represent the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. And so here now the plan comes into action.
Yeah, here we put Trump Town. There we put Jaredville. This will be Ivanka Lane.
Yeah.
They've got it all mapped out already. We actually have done stories about a lot of people have done those stories about, they have in Israel, they have developers that have laid out blueprints for what they would put in Gaza. While the pressure has been taken off in Gaza, Israel is taking the opportunity to mount what is really a de facto cleansing of the West Bank. This is all part of that from the river to the sea, Greater Israel project. Now, the surrounding countries have always been resistant to taking in the Palestinians, partly because they have their own problems. They're afraid of the political instability that will come with adding millions to their own population. They already have problems with poverty and unemployment. They cannot really assimilate millions of immigrants into their territory. That's part of why they've always resisted it. And presumably they would continue to. Then again, you never know. These Arab countries, Iran, early in the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, early in this genocide, they tried to get the Arab countries together to do something about it. They're too bought off. They didn't. Right. We talked to Max a little bit about that, about why these countries were not helping. And that was basically what he told us. They're bought off. They're all bought off. So can Trump, if you actually have an American president who is going to completely get on board with the Greater Israel project, can he bribe them enough to make them say yes? It's possible. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, look, on the one hand, I've always
doesn't mean the Palestinians will go willingly, but they made the world sit through a genocide for over a year. And, when the students spoke up, they cracked their heads and created anti-speech laws on campus or anti-speech codes on campus. So what would happen? I mean, if this genocide was allowed to happen, what would stop them from forcing these people onto the proverbial trains and sending them into Jordan?
Oh yeah, no, I mean nothing would stop them from doing that. Like I said, it was their goal to do that. I mean, it's been their goal to do that this entire time.
Right.
They've clearly wanted all the land this entire time. And this past 15 months was their effort to make this final push for Gaza. This is the sort of that's sort of the expedited timeline because it's a smaller piece of land. The West Bank is ultimately the big prize, and they're going to start annexing large parts of that this year with the help of Trump. They said that before Donald Trump won the election, and that was a part of the deal that they made to get the ceasefire in writing. And so that's a definite. That's going to happen. As for how they're going to get the Palestinians off of this land, this is what I said. I said they're going to force them to leave, and they're going to, they're going to kill whoever doesn't.
Right.
That's what I
Well,
said.
they've created conditions where how are people going to live there? Like
Yeah.
they would need constant aid to live there. All of the infrastructure is gone.
Yeah.
They need constant supplies of food, constant supplies of water. When you got a population in that position, it's very easy to force them to leave. You cut off the aid, which the Israelis have demonstrated they're perfectly willing to do.
Exactly.
Please clap.